Kevin Stefanski's coaching isn't just facing public criticism, it's exposing deep fractures inside the Browns organization. The October 26th meltdown wasn't an isolated loss. It was a symptom of systemic dysfunction. From Mike Vrabel's stinging "gimmick coach" comment to the unresolved quarterback controversy, internal cohesion appears to be slipping. The team's failure to adapt in real time, especially when sticking with Dillon Gabriel over Shatter Sanders, hints at more than poor strategy.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
It suggests favoritism, politics, and possible internal conflict. As the Browns struggle on the field, the spotlight has turned toward what's happening off it. Stefanski's decisions, particularly around player usage, now carry implications far beyond wins and losses. Every snap Gabriel takes while Sanders waits has become a flashpoint. Fans are frustrated, teammates are reportedly divided, and leadership looks increasingly reactive. If these tensions continue unchecked, the consequences could reshape the franchise from top to bottom. Kevin Stefanski is on the wrong end of a firestorm that started with 3 words: gimmick coach. That one insult, dropped casually, almost strategically, by Mike Vrabel after the Browns' October 26th matchup against the Patriots, has completely reset the conversation around Cleveland's head coach. What used to be quiet discontent is now a full-blown public reckoning. Fans, analysts, and even other coaches are lining up to question what's really going on inside the Browns organization. And the tape doesn't lie. The game against the Patriots was supposed to be a bounce-back moment. The Browns came out of the gate strong. Sharp execution, solid tempo, a touchdown drive that had fans thinking, okay, this is the team we were promised. But then? Nothing. Total collapse. Once the scripted plays ran out, so did the offense's pulse. It was déjà vu for anyone who's been watching the Browns this season. It's the same pattern every week. First drive, clean. Everything after, confusion. Adjustments don't come. The plan doesn't evolve. And Stefanski? Silent on the sideline, looking just as lost as the unit he's leading. That's where Mike Vrabel's comment landed like a nuclear bomb. Gimmick coach. Not respected colleague. Not solid tactician. Not even inexperienced. He went straight for the throat, and judging by how the Browns played that night, he wasn't wrong. Because the Browns looked exactly like what Vrabel accused them of being. A team reliant on pre-scripted offense with no ability to think on its feet. A system team with no substance once the game goes off-book. A coaching staff more concerned with proving itself than winning games. And it all leads back to one decision. One very specific, very controversial decision: Dillon Gabriel over Shatter Sanders. At this point, Stefanski's refusal to play Sanders is doing more than raising eyebrows. It's raising serious questions about his judgment and leadership. You have a highly capable, poised, athletic quarterback with every intangible you want in a starter, and he's benched. Game after game. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel, who has struggled to lead meaningful drives past the first quarter, continues to get the start. And no one can explain why. It's not about experience. It's not about system fit. It's not about upside. Sanders checks every box. He's performed when given chances. He's shown command in the pocket. He's shown leadership from the sideline. What more does he need to do? That's what has fans so fired up. It's not just that Stefanski is making a questionable call, it's that he's doubling down on it without providing any real explanation. And the silence is deafening. Because when decisions this questionable get made with zero transparency, it doesn't just affect the scoreboard. It fractures trust. Players start wondering if playing time is really based on merit. Fans start wondering if the coach is more interested in protecting his ego than winning. And the media? Well, that's a whole different problem. Because the coverage surrounding all of this has started to feel weirdly curated. Too polished. Too defensive. Like someone's working overtime to shape the narrative in Stefanski's favor. Anytime the quarterback situation is brought up, it's met with rehearsed lines. We're evaluating everything. We like what we've seen from Dillon. Shatter is a valuable part of the team. None of it says anything. And that lack of honesty only makes things worse. The suggestion that the media might be going soft on Stefanski, or worse, spinning coverage to protect him, has added fuel to an already out-of-control fire. Fans don't just feel disappointed anymore, they feel manipulated. And that's how you lose them entirely. It's also how you start to lose the locker room. Because here's the reality, when a coach keeps favoring one player over another, and everyone in that locker room knows it's the wrong move, it doesn't stay quiet. It festers. Especially when the team is losing. Especially when morale is already low. The decision to keep Sanders benched is a leadership issue. Full stop. It signals either a deep level of stubbornness or a strategic blind spot so massive it could derail the entire season. And the longer it goes unaddressed, the more damage it does, not just to this year's record, but to Stefanski's future in Cleveland. It's not just about quarterback talent anymore. It's about accountability. And right now, there's a vacuum where that should be. The fans see it. The players feel it. And now, thanks to Mike Vrabel, the rest of the league is talking about it too. Because that's the ripple effect of public criticism in the NFL. When a coach openly slams another coach, it usually fades fast. But this one stuck. Because Vrabel didn't just attack Stefanski's system, he exposed what everyone already suspected. And Stefanski's response has only made it worse. Instead of shifting course, instead of giving Sanders the reins, instead of acknowledging what's obvious to every person watching this team, Stefanski has continued to double down on a game plan that doesn't work with a quarterback who can't carry it. That's not strategy. That's pride. And pride is killing this season. If the Browns wanted to stop the bleeding, they had a chance. After the Patriots' loss, after the Vrabel quote exploded across social media, after the offense got thoroughly outclassed in the second half, they could have hit reset. They could have made a statement by starting Sanders. They could have shown fans that they were listening, that they understood the urgency, that they were willing to adapt. But no. Another week. Another Gabriel start. Another wasted opportunity. And now the question isn't whether Stefanski is making mistakes, it's whether he even cares to fix them. Because this doesn't look like indecision anymore. It looks like a coach trapped in his own echo chamber. Surrounded by yes men. Shielded by selective media narratives. Too insulated to see that he's becoming the very thing this team has spent years trying to avoid, a coach with no plan and no accountability. And that's where the Browns stand today. A team with serious talent. A fan base that's still hanging on. And a head coach who seems more committed to being right than being effective. Which begs the real question, how long is the front office going to let this continue? Because the longer this QB drama drags on, the more poisonous it becomes. The longer Sanders is sidelined without reason, the more fractured the locker room becomes. And the longer Stefanski keeps pretending this is all part of the plan, the more likely it is that this franchise will burn through another promising year in a league that doesn't wait. If Cleveland doesn't make a change soon, whether it's the quarterback, the play calling, or the leadership itself, they're not just risking a bad season. They're risking their credibility. And the sad part? This all could have been avoided. Stefanski could have owned the mistake, made the switch, taken control of the narrative. But now, the narrative owns him. What started as a coaching critique has become a full-on indictment. And unless something changes fast, the next thing we'll be talking about is who's going to replace him. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Are you done with the Stefanski experiment? Should Shatter Sanders have been starting weeks ago? And what do you think is really going on behind the scenes? Like this video if you're tired of watching talent rot on the bench. Share it with your Browns crew who've been screaming about this since week 1. And make sure you subscribe, because if you think this drama is peaking, you haven't seen anything yet. Kevin Stefanski didn't just ignore a red flag, he built a house on top of it, lit the match, and handed out blindfolds to the front office. Because no matter how you spin it, the Browns have wasted the first half of their season protecting a failing plan and a quarterback choice that nobody understands anymore. And let's be clear, Dillon Gabriel is not the villain. He's a serviceable quarterback doing his job. The issue isn't that he's terrible, it's that he's not better than Shatter Sanders. Not by a long shot. So when you see Sanders with all the physical tools, leadership, and proven ability to command a huddle, not playing, it doesn't look like a competition. It looks like favoritism. That's where Stefanski's credibility starts to crack. When your decision-making becomes indefensible to the fanbase and the locker room, that's when the real damage sets in. The kind that doesn't go away with a quick win or a fiery press conference. This isn't a media cycle, it's a turning point. You can feel the shift. Before the Patriots game, the questions were still cautious. Still respectful. Why hasn't Sanders seen more time? Do you think we'll see a rotation soon? But now the tone has flipped completely. People aren't asking questions anymore. They're making statements. Stefanski doesn't know how to develop talent. He's too stuck in his system. He's holding this team back. He's scared to start Sanders. That's the word that keeps coming up. Because there's a growing theory out there, and it's not even that wild, that Stefanski isn't just protecting his plan. He's afraid of what happens if Sanders comes in and outplays Gabriel. Because if that happens, the entire strategy unravels. The trust in his vision disappears. And the storyline shifts from, "We're building something," to, "Why didn't you do this sooner?" It becomes undeniable proof that he got it wrong. And that might be his biggest fear. Because when a coach builds his identity around control and system precision, the one thing they hate the most is chaos. And starting Sanders? That introduces chaos. It introduces improvisation, emotion, spark. Things Stefanski's offense doesn't always leave room for. But you know what else it introduces? Wins. This isn't about raw potential anymore. This is about urgency. The AFC isn't going to wait for Cleveland to figure it out. The division is brutal, the schedule isn't getting easier, and every week the Browns spend stuck in neutral is another week they slide further from playoff relevance. And the window? It's closing. That defense? Elite. That roster? Solid. The pieces are there. Which is why this quarterback mismanagement is so maddening. The Browns aren't bad because they lack talent. They're bad because the coaching is actively getting in the way. It's the kind of problem that gets harder to fix the longer you let it fester. Because now, even if Stefanski does start Sanders, it won't be seen as leadership, it'll be seen as pressure. As panic. As a forced move to save face. And while it might still spark something on the field, the damage to Stefanski's reputation will linger. He won't be the coach who developed Sanders. He'll be the coach who delayed him. And look, fans are tired of waiting. The social media discourse isn't subtle. It's sharp, direct, and turning on Stefanski by the day. You can see it in the replies, the memes, the livestream rants. This isn't a loyal fanbase in a bad mood. This is a loyal fanbase that feels lied to. Because it's one thing to lose. It's another to look like you refuse to win. And it's hard to argue otherwise when the best quarterback on your roster keeps getting treated like a redshirt freshman while a mid-tier option gets all the reps. There's no football logic to back it up anymore. None. So what are we even doing here? Is this some long-term chess match no one understands? Is it Stefanski trying to prove a point? Or is it just fear, plain and simple, of letting go of the system and putting trust in a player who thrives outside of it? Whatever it is, it's not working. And every week it continues, it confirms what Mike Verbal said wasn't just petty trash talk. It was a public diagnosis. Stefanski's offense doesn't adapt. His quarterback plan lacks vision. And his leadership? It's slipping. Because here's the truth about the N. You don't get points for potential. You get judged on execution. On adjustments. On whether you put your best players on the field when it matters. And right now, Kevin Stefanski is failing that test across the board. He has talent. He has a fan base still hanging on by a thread. He has a locker room that probably wants to believe. And yet, week after week, he's making decisions that are actively draining all of that goodwill. There's a reason this story won't die. It's not just drama for drama's sake. It's because this isn't just a QB battle. It's a window into how a franchise is being mismanaged in real time. And the NFL world is watching. Other coaches? Watching. Other players? Watching. The Browns front office? They better be watching. Because there's only so long you can keep the locker room quiet. There's only so long the media can protect you. And once the fans fully turn, that's when the ownership starts asking questions. Questions like, why is our most talented quarterback still on the bench? Why is the offense falling apart in the second half every week? And why is our head coach the only person who seems completely unfazed by any of it? The answers don't look good. And the longer Stefanski avoids them, the more likely it becomes that the Browns are headed toward another reset. Another off-season of evaluations. Another year of what could have been. All because the coach couldn't admit he was wrong. So here we are. A franchise teetering between breakthrough and breakdown. A quarterback wasting away on the sideline. A coach caught between his own system and the reality unfolding right in front of him. And time is running out. If you're still holding out hope that this is all part of some master plan, that Stefanski's playing a long game that we just don't understand, well, that hope is getting harder and harder to justify. Because let's be honest, what part of this situation looks strategic? What part of the Browns' offense suggests there's something brilliant waiting under the surface? From the outside, all it looks like is a team that starts fast, stalls even faster, and refuses to evolve. It's not just frustrating anymore. It's embarrassing. And it didn't have to be. This team isn't missing pieces. It isn't riddled with injuries. It isn't being outclassed in talent. The Browns are losing because of coaching decisions, deliberate ones, made week after week by a head coach who either can't see the truth or refuses to accept it. And at the center of it all is Shatter Sanders. A player who should be at the heart of this franchise's future, and instead has been reduced to a sideline prop. The worst part? Sanders isn't just being underused. He's being erased from the conversation altogether. Stefanski doesn't talk about him. The media barely presses on it anymore. And when the topic does come up, it's brushed off with vague statements like, he's doing everything we ask of him, or, his time will come. His time will come? It should have come already. Weeks ago. And the longer it doesn't, the more it feels personal. Not performance-based. Not strategic. Personal. Whether it's about control, favoritism, or some behind-the-scenes tension that the public doesn't know about, there's clearly more going on here than what's being said. Because on paper, this decision makes no sense. On film, it makes even less. And yet Stefanski continues to dig in, like a coach who'd rather go down with the wrong guy than admit he was wrong. That's not leadership. That's insecurity. Because real leaders don't double down when the data proves them wrong. They pivot. They listen. They adapt. And if there's one thing Stefanski hasn't done this season, it's adapt. Mike Vrabel's gimmick coach insult wasn't just about one game. It was about a pattern. A pattern that's been playing out all season long, and now, it's undeniable. Because let's break this down even further. What exactly is Stefanski's offense doing? It's overly scripted, rigid, completely dependent on pre-game planning and incapable of mid-game adjustment. The moment the first 15 plays are off the table, everything stalls. There's no rhythm, no creativity, no urgency. And when you combine that with a quarterback like Gabriel, who isn't capable of bailing you out of a broken structure, you get exactly what we've seen for the last month. Lifeless, predictable, disappointing football. It's a system begging for a player like Sanders. Someone who can make plays when the system fails. Someone who can extend drives, make defenders miss, take risks, and, let's be real, bring some energy to a sideline that looks like it's watching paint dry by the third quarter. But instead of recognizing that, Stefanski continues to run the exact same game plan with the exact same results. At some point, you have to ask, does he even want to win? Because everything about this feels like a man trying to prove a point, not a man trying to win football games. And the players know it. You can't hide this stuff inside a locker room. It doesn't matter how many motivational speeches you give. When guys see talent sitting on the bench for no good reason, when they see the same plays getting called that they know won't work, and when the results are this ugly, that respect starts to erode. Slowly at first, then all at once. And that's when things get dangerous. Because once you lose the locker room, once those players stop believing that you're putting the best product on the field, it's over. You don't get that back. Not without a major shakeup. Not without consequences. And let's be honest, Stefanski should be feeling those consequences already. The Browns aren't in some rebuilding year. This isn't a grace period. This is a win-now roster being driven into the ground by coaching malpractice. That's not dramatic, it's what's happening. Every team around the league sees it. And you better believe agents are watching it too. What happens when you have young, talented players who look at the Shatter Sanders situation and think, that could be me next? What happens when top draft picks start not wanting to come to Cleveland? That's how you poison a culture. That's how you become the franchise nobody wants to play for again. And for what? To protect a system? To shield a coaching staff's pride? It's not worth it. There's no shame in being wrong. Every coach makes mistakes. But the ones who stay wrong, that's who lose the job. That's who go from promising to replaceable in a heartbeat. Right now, Stefanski is actively choosing to stay wrong. And the fan base? They see it. They're not falling for the quotes anymore. They're not clinging to hope. They're demanding change. They've waited long enough. They've been patient. And now they're watching another season swirl down the drain because one man refuses to admit that the guy he's starting isn't the guy. That's not bad luck. That's bad coaching. And if the front office doesn't intervene soon, they'll be just as complicit. Because this is the moment. This is when smart franchises act. Before it's too late. Before the damage is permanent. Before the locker room fractures beyond repair. Start Sanders. Reset the season. Give your team a shot. And if Stefanski won't do it, then someone else needs to. Because this isn't just a bad stretch. It's an organizational failure. From top to bottom. From the playbook to the podium. And unless something changes, dramatically, this season will go down as one of the most wasteful in recent memory. And not just because the Browns didn't live up to expectations, but because they chose not to. So let's hear it. Is this it for Stefanski? Does he deserve another chance, or has he already burned through every last ounce of credibility? Should Sanders have started weeks ago, or is there something the public still doesn't know? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this conversation isn't slowing down anytime soon. Hit that like if you're tired of seeing Cleveland stuck in the same cycle. Share this with the fans who've been ride or die through it all. And don't forget to subscribe. Because if this team doesn't change course, the only question left is, how much worse does it have to get before someone finally pulls the plug?